Tonight, before you go to sleep, try something strange. Turn off every light in your house, your phone, your TV, everything. Then sit alone in the dark for 10 minutes. It will feel uncomfortable, maybe even unsettling. But why? Because for more than 99.9% of human history, darkness wasn't unusual. It was normal. Your ancestors lived their entire lives without electricity. No light switches, no glowing screens, no cities shining through the night. So what did humans actually do when the sun disappeared? The answer is far stranger than simply going to sleep. It reveals a forgotten world that may explain your fear of darkness, your sleep problems, and why your brain still behaves as if electricity was never invented. Today, night barely changes anything. You can work at midnight, watch movies at 2 a.m., talk to someone on the other side of the planet while lying in bed. The modern world never truly sleeps. But for almost all of human history, sunset was one of the most important moments of the day. Because when the sun disappeared, an entirely different world appeared. A world that modern humans rarely experience. Imagine standing outside 10,000 years ago. The sun sinks below the horizon. The sky slowly turns orange, then purple, then black. And suddenly, darkness arrives. Not city darkness, not bedroom darkness, real darkness. The kind of darkness where you can barely see your own hand. The kind of darkness that makes every sound feel important, every movement suspicious, every shadow alive. For ancient humans, night wasn't just the end of the day. It was a challenge, a test, and sometimes a threat. Because once darkness arrived, humans lost their greatest advantage, their eyesight. Humans are not built for the night. Cats can see in dim light. Owls can hunt in darkness. Wolves can move through forests after sunset. But humans are surprisingly bad at seeing in the dark, which meant that when the sun disappeared, the balance of power changed. Suddenly, predators had the advantage. Imagine hearing a rustle in the bushes. You can't see what made the sound. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's the wind. Or maybe it's something with teeth. Your brain doesn't know. And that's exactly the problem. The human brain hates uncertainty. Even today, a strange noise at night feels scarier than the same noise during the day. Have you ever noticed that? A hallway looks normal at noon. The same hallway at midnight feels completely different. Nothing changed. Yet everything changed. That's because your brain is running ancient survival software. Software that evolved long before electricity existed. For your ancestors, being cautious at night wasn't paranoia. It was survival. One mistake could be fatal. One ignored sound could be the last sound they ever heard. And that's why many scientists believe our fear of darkness is not learned. It's inherited. A gift from thousands of generations who survived because they took the dark seriously. But something remarkable happened that changed everything. Fire. Long before electricity, long before cities, long before written language. Humans learned how to control fire. And once they did, nights were never the same again. A campfire doesn't seem impressive today. You can create more light with a small flashlight. But to ancient humans, fire was magic. It pushed back darkness. It scared away predators. It provided warmth. It cooked food. And most importantly, it created a place where people could gather safely after sunset. For the first time, humans could extend their day beyond daylight. And what they did with those extra hours may have changed human history forever. Around those fires, something extraordinary happened. People started talking. Not about hunting. Not about gathering food. Not about immediate survival. They started telling stories. Stories about heroes. Stories about animals. Stories about spirits. Stories about things that never happened. At first, that sounds unimportant. But it wasn't. Because stories are one of the most powerful technologies humans ever invented. Long before books existed, stories were how knowledge survived. A dangerous animal could be remembered through a story. A lesson could be remembered through a story. A warning could be remembered through a story. Entire cultures survived because stories survived. Imagine sitting around a fire 20,000 years ago. The flames flicker. The stars shine overhead. Children listen carefully. Adults sit quietly. And an elder begins speaking. No screens, no distractions, no notifications, just a voice in the darkness. And everyone listens. Because information was valuable, and stories carried information better than anything else. In many ways, those ancient campfires were the world's first classrooms, except nobody realized it at the time. The people gathered around them were simply trying to make sense of the world. But in the process, they were building culture itself. And culture would eventually change the planet. But storytelling wasn't the only thing happening after sunset. Something even stranger was happening inside the human mind. During the day, survival demanded attention. Food had to be found. Tools had to be repaired. Shelters had to be maintained. There was always something urgent, something immediate, something demanding action. Night was different. Darkness slowed everything down. And when the world became quieter, the mind became louder. For perhaps the first time all day, people had space to think. Really think. Imagine sitting beside a fire with nothing to do. No phone, no television, no endless stream of entertainment. Just the crackling of flames and the stars above. What would happen? Your thoughts would begin to wander. Questions would appear. Memories would return. Ideas would connect. Modern psychologists have discovered something fascinating. The human brain often does its most creative thinking when it isn't focused on a specific task. In other words, when you stop doing things, your brain starts doing different things. It reflects, imagines, creates, and ancient humans experienced this far more often than you do, because boredom existed, real boredom. Today, boredom rarely lasts more than a few seconds. A notification appears, a video starts playing, a message arrives, a screen lights up, the silence disappears. But for most of history, silence was normal. And silence can be powerful. Some of humanity's greatest ideas may have emerged during long evenings with nothing but firelight and thought. In fact, many researchers believe that imagination played a huge role in human success. Animals can react to reality. Humans can imagine realities that don't exist yet. That's a superpower. A hunter can imagine tomorrow's hunt. A builder can imagine a future shelter. A leader can imagine a future tribe. And once humans began imagining the future, everything changed. Civilizations became possible. Agriculture became possible. Science became possible. All because people learned to think beyond the present moment. And many of those thoughts likely happened after sunset. But there was another reason nights mattered: the sky. Today, most people never see the night sky the way their ancestors did.